The video you're about to watch was filmed nearly 2 weeks ago before the UK was put into lockdown, and obviously at the time I didn't know the impact that the coronavirus crisis was going to have on my business. Since then I've actually had to cancel and postpone the vast majority of my workshops and one-to-ones. Now I am still going and I'm trying to adapt my business as best I can to deal with the current situation that we find ourselves in. But nevertheless, here are the things that I have learned about this business in the last 6 months. I can hardly believe that it has been 6 months since I left my old job and started on my journey to becoming a full-time professional landscape photographer. And in this video I want to talk about the 5 things that I've learned about this industry in the last 6 months. It's actually closer to 7 months because I don't really like making videos in the office, so I've been putting it off. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to say it's 6 months. Now, before we get to the things that I've learned in the last 6 months, let's talk briefly about the income that I've been able to generate. Now, I left my job at the end of August 2019, and it had originally been my plan to start my business in March 2020, the month that I'm filming this in. And what I was going to do was I'm going to take 6 months off and just shoot. And now that sounds idyllic, but after a month I got bored of it, and so I made the decision to start my business 5 months early. And with all the things that are going on in the world at the moment, thank goodness I did. Now I've already covered the income that I generated in the first couple of months, so I just really want to talk about Q2, which is December 2019 and January and February 2020. And as you can see from this graph, generally my income has been on the increase, which is fantastic news for me. Even better news is that I'm only halfway through March and I've already smashed the record that I set for February. So things are looking okay at the moment. As you can see from this chart, my biggest earner is still one-to-one. So I'm still generating about 44% of my income from one-to-one. So this is where people hire me either as a location expert to get them to the best places in the Lake District, or as a photography tutor to help them improve their photography. My second biggest earner remains my workshops. So I run small workshops of 2 people on a Saturday morning for about 4 hours. And that's at the minute generating about 30% of my income. My third biggest revenue stream at the moment is actually YouTube. I generate an income from the ads that are shown on these videos. And YouTube's actually quite interesting. At the beginning of the year I doubled my output. I went from 1 video a week to 2 videos a week, and that's actually helped me to increase the number of views that I'm getting by about 25%. Unfortunately, I haven't seen an increase in revenue, which is actually a little bit disappointing. I've doubled the amount of work that I'm doing on YouTube, but my income remains the same. My fourth biggest earner is actually print sales, and I sell prints via my website. And I sell a few. I don't make an awful lot of money out of it at the minute. It's something I would like to grow. And as you can see from this graph, there's also a 5th revenue stream, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in a moment. So that's all the income stuff out of the way. Let's now get on to the things that I've learned since I went full-time as a landscape photographer. And number 1 is that this industry is all about people. Now I've said this in the past, that my photography isn't really that important. What is important is the photography of the people that come on the one-to-ones and come on workshops. And that's what I am predominantly focused upon. My photography actually comes second to that. Now to illustrate that point, I do just want to show you this image. This is my favourite image so far of 2020. And I didn't take it. It was taken by a chap called Stephen, who joined me for a workshop at Otterbuild on Derwentwater earlier in the year. Now Stephen and I, we talked about the composition, we talked about the branch and the nice S-curve that it forms, we talked about the positioning of the horizon, we talked about the use of long exposure, we even discussed the conversion to black and white. But this is Stephen's photograph. He took it. And I do feel that I was able to help him get a really good image. And that was a really, really proud moment for me when he sent that through and I saw just how good it was. Now, because this business is all about people, one of the problems that I'm having is actually keeping track of everybody, keeping track of who's made inquiries about what and who's actually come on one-to-ones and on workshops. And so with that in mind, I have started to use a CRM system, a customer relationship management system, to keep a track of all of that. So that allows me to keep track of all the people who have made inquiries, all of those people that have actually booked one-to-ones and booked onto workshops, and even do diary management for when those workshops and one-to-ones are. So another problem that I'm having is trying to keep track of all the different ways that people are trying to communicate with me. So to give you an example, when people are trying to book onto one-to-ones or workshops, I get communications via email, and I have two email accounts. My normal email account and the one that's my Gmail account that's linked to YouTube. I've got DMs coming in on Instagram and on Twitter. I've got Facebook Messenger messages. I've got messages coming via my Facebook page. And I've also got WhatsApp, people contacting me via WhatsApp. Now, if anybody out there knows a way of bringing all of those methods of communication into a single place, and I do mean all of them, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and my emails, all into one place, I would really appreciate it if you left me a comment below and just give me some idea of how I can bring that all together. The second thing that I have learned is that simple sells, and what I mean by that is the workshops that I've put together have been very, very simple. They've been a single location for 4 hours on a Saturday morning for just 2 people, and they've been priced accordingly. And when I announced my spring workshops, the early ones sold out very, very quickly. In fact, I had to add additional dates for some of them, and in some cases, I could have sold 3 or maybe even 4 dates for a single workshop. Now, I do want to run more complicated workshops that run over a weekend, and actually the feedback that I got from some of the people that have attended the workshops, people that have come up from London, they actually say, it's a long way to come for just a morning, obviously, and so they would like to have slightly longer workshops. So that will be the plan for the autumn. We will put together a couple of workshops that will run over weekends for those people that have to travel from greater distances. Now, one thing that's happened that I wasn't expecting was that I've been contacted by other professional landscape photographers who want to bring groups to the Lake District and hire me as a location guide. Now, this is obviously fantastic news for me because it means that I get to work on workshops and generate an extra income, but I don't actually have to sell any workshop places at all. That's obviously a real bonus that I wasn't expecting. The third thing I've learned about this industry is you've got to get yourself out there. It's not enough to have a YouTube channel and a website. You've got to get out there and promote yourself. And with that in mind, I am pleased to announce that I'm going to be hosting my first ever exhibition this summer. So I have a single date in Grasmere in July. On Wednesday the 29th of July, I'll be exhibiting in Grasmere. If you're in the area, do pop in. There will be details on my website. I'll leave a link in the description below. And I'm just dipping my toe in the water at this stage, just seeing how it works. If it is successful, there will be more exhibitions to follow. I'm just exhibiting some work that's currently in my portfolio. It's called My Lake District. I will be exhibiting the Hand of Man project once it's finished. Progress on that hasn't been particularly good because I've been focusing on the business side of things and haven't been getting out to shoot as often as I'd like. But anyway, that will follow at a later date. And I do just want to once again say a big thank you for everybody who has supported me and made a donation to that first exhibition. The people have been able to contribute and make donations via my Ko-fi page, and that has actually paid for all of the frames that I'm going to need for my exhibitions. Now, the exhibition was never in my original business plan. This wasn't something that I'd originally considered, and it was actually people that watch my YouTube channel that made the suggestion that I have an exhibition. Now, because it wasn't in my business plan, there weren't the funds to host it, but I've been able to collect the funds through Ko-fi, and that's been absolutely fantastic. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who supported me, and I hope that some of you are able to get along to the exhibition and see for yourself firsthand just what your support has allowed me to do. It isn't just exhibitions. I've also confirmed my first Camera Club talk. I will be speaking at the Copeland Photographic Society in October. And if you're a member of a camera club and would like me to come and talk to you and your members, then get in touch via my website and we'll get something set up. Finally, I've also been invited along to the University of Nottingham to talk to their students on the MSc in Biological Photography. And I'm going to talk about my journey into professional photography and share some of the things that I've learned. And that's a really big opportunity for me, a really nice thing to be able to do, to kind of give back and to help the next generation of photographers that are coming through to get themselves established, because it isn't easy and I want to help as many people as I possibly can. The fourth thing that I've learned about this industry is that you have to diversify. You have to develop multiple income streams. It's dangerous in any business to have all of your income coming from one source. And so I'm determined to develop as many income streams as I can possibly support. Now, I already have one-to-ones, I already have workshops. We talked about the problems that I have with YouTube. I'm trying to develop my print sales, and that's what the exhibition is all about. But you remember on that graph there was a fifth segment, and that fifth segment comes from mentoring. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm offering a service out to other photographers where I provide them with the benefit of my experience over Skype. And what they do is they buy an hour of my time and I help them with their photography, or setting up their business, or setting up their photography website, or starting a YouTube channel, all based on my own personal experience. Now, I have already been working with a couple of photographers in the US and a photographer in South Africa, and as I say, this is all done over Skype, and this allows me to reach a much wider audience. And I want to expand that. I want to grow that as much as I possibly can. So the sort of things that I'm trying to help people with, anything to do with landscape photography. So if it's a simple portfolio review, or identifying things that they need to work on, or putting together some form of learning plan, or planning landscape photography shoots, or post-processing, as well as some of the other stuff I've already been working on. So setting up a website, website SEO, starting a YouTube channel, information about how I run my workshops, that sort of thing. So if you're actually interested in that, if you would like to book a session with me, once again, the details will be in the description below. I think there's some details on my website, and there'll be a link to that. But you can also book a session with me directly from my Facebook page. So if you just pop along there, there's a book now button, and I've actually got slots available on Tuesday afternoons and Thursday afternoons. So that brings me along to the fifth and final thing that I've learned about this industry, and that is it is a lot of hard work. I don't think I've ever worked so hard. At the moment I'm working 12 hours a day on average, and I work 7 days a week, and I don't think that's any different from anybody else when they go self-employed and they're trying to set up a business. It's just a fact of life. But to illustrate that point, today is a Sunday, and I was supposed to be at the photography show today, but it got cancelled because of the coronavirus. Now, rather than having the day off and spending it with my wife, I find myself in the office recording this video, and when I finish that, I've got a load of emails to reply to, I have a ton of comments to respond to, and I've also got to finish my blog. But like I say, this is what I love doing. This is what I'm really passionate about, and for the majority of the time it doesn't actually feel like work. So there you have it. That's a little bit about how I'm making my money and some of the things that I've learned about this industry in the last 6 months. Now, in the next video, which will be out I think on Tuesday, I should be back to normal, back out in the Lake District with my camera, indulging in my passion for photography. So hopefully you'll tune in for that, and I will see you then.